In 1942, a man was sent to Auschwitz concentration camp. There, almost everything was taken from him. His wife, his parents, and even the manuscript he had spent his life writing, torn apart right in front of him. Even his name was taken. All that remained was a number tattooed on his arm. 3 years later, he walked out, alive. His name was Viktor Frankl. He rewrote the book he had lost, Man's Search for Meaning, sold more than 10 million copies, and became one of the most influential psychiatrists of the 20th century. But what saved him was not talent. It was something he discovered in the middle of hell itself. They could take everything, except his freedom to choose his response. He called it the space. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our freedom. Now be honest with yourself. Most of us live as if that space does not exist. Someone says one painful sentence, and we fire back immediately. One email, one comment, one look, and we lose our calm. Every time that happens, we willingly hand the remote control of our emotions, and sometimes our entire day, to someone else. The space closes. And we react like a machine, exactly the same way we have reacted for years. And this is not about swallowing your anger or just letting it go. This is about who you are becoming. Have you ever met that kind of person? The person who walks into a room and does not need to raise their voice to carry weight. The person who can be provoked and still remain unmoved. The person others naturally respect. That kind of calm is not something you're simply born with. It is trained. And the training began more than 2,000 years ago. People call it Stoicism. But do not misunderstand it as a philosophy for becoming cold. Marcus Aurelius used it while ruling an empire through war and plague. Epictetus used it while living as a slave. One man had almost everything. The other had almost nothing. But both trained the same thing, keeping the inner world from being taken over by life. So watch this video until the end. The 9 Stoic principles I am about to share are not random ideas. They connect, build on each other, and strengthen one another. And with each principle, you will receive a way to apply it directly to your life. The goal is not to make you emotionless. It is not to turn you cold or distant. The goal is to help you train yourself step by step to become steady enough. So when life crashes into you, it can no longer break you as easily as it once did. But first, there is one question I want you to hold in your mind throughout this entire video. If a man in the middle of Auschwitz, stripped of everything, with nothing left in his hands, could still find freedom inside his own mind, then what is truly holding you back? Hold on to that question. At the end of this video, we will answer it together. Now, let's begin. Principle 1. The dichotomy of control. Redraw the boundaries of your life. The name may sound dry, but this is the first principle you need to understand if you want to reclaim your calm. Because so much of your anger, so much of your anxiety, and so much of your pain begin at the same point. You are trying to hold on to something that was never in your hands. One harsh sentence. One cold reply. One look of contempt. One result that did not go your way. One person who did not behave the way you hoped they would. On the surface, we think those things are what make us lose our calm. But if you look deeper, the problem is not the event itself. The problem is that you have made your peace depend on things you cannot control. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. Imagine that your life is surrounded by 2 circles. The inner circle contains what truly belongs to you. Your thoughts, your words, your action, the way you respond, the choices you make in difficult moments. The outer circle contains everything else. What other people think, what they say, what they do, the past that has already happened, the final outcome, the weather, traffic, and the recognition you hope to receive. It sounds simple, but almost no one lives this way. Because the outer circle is always louder. It hits you in the face immediately. A cruel comment makes your chest heat up. An unanswered message makes your mind create 10 different stories. One careless sentence from someone can ruin your entire evening. But the inner circle is quiet. It does not shout. It simply waits for you to return and ask, what part of this truly belongs to me? And this is the critical moment. Every time you forget to ask that question, you hand over the remote control. Not just of your emotions, but of the person you are becoming. Not because you are weak, but because you have not redrawn the boundary in time. And worse, it does not stop at one moment. Repeat it long enough, and it becomes an identity. You are no longer someone who loses control sometimes. You become a person who lives by reaction. A person whose inner world can be taken over by anyone standing in front of them. And if your life only reacts to the outer circle, then you are not truly the one steering it. Now here is the raw truth few people will tell you. The event happens in the outer circle. It comes, and then it passes in a second. But the anger lasts for a week. At night, you replay that argument over and over for a month. The event was short. The suffering is what you keep extending. No one is making you suffer. You are doing that to yourself. James Stockdale learned this in the harshest possible way. He was an American pilot. He was shot down and held in a prisoner of war camp in Vietnam for more than 7 years. He was tortured. He was placed in solitary confinement. He did not know when he would be released. At times, he did not even know if he would survive long enough to go home. But before that, he had read Epictetus, and Stoic thought helped him hold a boundary no one could violate. The prison outside his control. The torture outside his control. The day he would return home outside his control. But his dignity, the way he endured, the way he kept his spirit alive for his fellow prisoners, the way he refused to let others define who he was. Those things were still in his hands. They took almost everything from him. His freedom, his body, year after year of his life. But not that inner circle. That is the one thing no one can touch. And that is the first lesson of calmness. Not controlling everything. It is about no longer handing the most sacred part of yourself to things you do not control. Starting today, whenever you feel yourself losing control, the anger, the anxiety, the hand that keeps reaching for the phone, the mind that keeps clinging to one situation. Stop for one breath and ask one question. Is this in my inner circle or my outer circle? If it is outside your control, you do not have to let it go instantly. But you must stop wrestling with it. If it is within your control, return to the next action, the next word, the next choice. That one question alone creates a pause between stimulus and response. And every time you create that pause, you put your hands back on the steering wheel of your own life. But this is only the beginning. Because after you know what belongs to you, life will still throw obstacles in your face. The next question is, will you see them as walls blocking your path, or as a training ground for the person you are becoming? That is the second principle. Principle 2. The obstacle is the way. The obstacle is the way. Knowing what is within your control is only the first step, because life does not become easier because of that. Your boss may still be difficult. That person may still say the words that hurt you. The plan you spent an entire month building can still fall apart in one afternoon. And this is where many people misunderstand Stoicism. They think calmness means avoiding obstacles. Calmness is knowing how to use the obstacle to train the exact part that is within your control. We need to say this clearly from the beginning, so we do not sugarcoat it. Obstacles do not automatically make you stronger. Two people can face the same event. One collapses, the other becomes steadier. The difference is not in the event. The difference is this. One person lets the event sweep them away, while the other knows what they are training in that moment. An obstacle only becomes the way when you know how to use it. Otherwise, it remains only an obstacle, and it can easily pull you back into your old reactions. Imagine 3 very ordinary moments. You spend the entire week preparing for a meeting, and the moment you start speaking, your boss cuts you off in 10 seconds. You try to explain something important to a family member, and they answer with one sentence. You always make everything such a big deal. You send out a plan you put your heart into, and what you receive back is a cold email, only 3 lines long. In those exact moments, you have 2 doors. 1. Let the event define you. Go home irritated. Burn through the whole evening. Wake up the next morning still carrying the resentment. 2. Step back half a step and ask one question. What part of me is this training? In 1914, Thomas Edison's factory caught fire, burning down almost his entire fortune and years of research. But what matters here is not that the factory burned. What matters is this. In the very moment when he had every right to collapse, he still held on to one thing: the right to name the event. The story goes that, standing in the middle of the flames, he turned to his son and said, "Go get your mother. She will never see anything like this again." Then he said, "All our mistakes have just been burned up. Now we can start over." He was not being positive. He simply refused to let the fire steal his right to interpret the fire. Stoicism does not tell you to pretend you like adversity. It only tells you this: the one thing an event cannot take from you, if you do not let go, is your right to name it. And here's the one move you need to remember. Simple enough to use in a meeting today. When you meet an obstacle, do not ask, "Why me?" Ask one question. What part of me is this training? Training patience? Training boundaries? Training the ability to speak more clearly? Training the courage to hold your ground? Training the ability to begin again? That one question alone is enough to pull you out of the victim role and place you in the role of someone being trained. I want to pause here for a moment, because you may be listening and thinking, "That sounds easy, but my pain is heavy." I understand. Not every obstacle has meaning right away. Some things are just painful, and you need time to simply be in pain, without rushing to turn it into a lesson. but when you are calm enough to return to what is within your control, whether that takes a week, a month, or a year, even that pain can become material. Not to justify what happened, but so it does not pass through your life without meaning. Repeat this long enough, and something strange begins to happen. Obstacles no longer trigger panic. They activate curiosity. Instead of, "Why is this happening?" you automatically ask, "What part of me is being trained?" That is when you know the obstacle is no longer blocking you. It is upgrading you. Slowly, sometimes painfully, but truly. But using the obstacle in front of you is only half the story. What about the things that have already happened? The wounds you cannot undo. The years you cannot get back. The people who left and will never return. What will you do with them? That is where the next principle, AMOR FATI, begins. Principle 3, AMOR FATI, love your fate. Wait. Before you hear that name and dismiss it, I need to say something directly. The word love here is very easy to misunderstand. Amor fati does not mean you have to see your painful experience as good. It does not tell you to smile at your wound. It does not tell you to be grateful to the person who betrayed you. It does not tell you to say, "Losing that job was a gift from the universe." That kind of sugarcoating is not Stoic. It is self-deception. Amor fati says something else, less poetic, but far more real. Stop fighting what has already happened, so you can use it as material for what comes next. Because here is the mechanism most people do not notice. The more you resist something that has already happened, the more that very thing keeps holding you in place. Every "if only" is a rope tying you to a version of life that no longer exists. You are standing in the present, but your mind is still living inside a parallel reality you can never reach. And the more you struggle, the tighter the rope becomes. Look at the 3 levels of human response to adversity, and be honest about where you are. Level 1, resistance. Why me? It should not have been this way. At this level, you can burn an entire year fighting a reality that has already happened. And you will always lose, because it already happened. Level 2, acceptance. Yes, this is what it is. Much better. But there is still a taste of resignation. Still the feeling that you are a victim watching your life from the outside. Level 3, Amor fati. This is my life, so what will I do with it? And we need to be clear here, because this is often misunderstood. Level 3 does not mean you believe everything that happened was right. It does not mean you must forgive immediately, stop hurting immediately, or feel okay immediately. It only means you stop letting the past own your present. The past is still there. You cannot erase it. But you no longer allow it to decide who you will become from today forward. The difference comes down to one thing. You stop standing outside your life and judging it. You step fully into it, standing inside both the beautiful parts and the broken parts, and begin to ask, what can I build from here? Marcus Aurelius could not choose the wars on the border. He could not choose the plague that swept through the empire. He could not choose the people who betrayed him inside his own court. There were things the most powerful emperor in the world should have been able to choose. But he could not. What he could choose was this. to sit down and write every morning, to remind himself to keep his character, to refuse to let betrayal turn him bitter. He could not erase the dark parts of fate. He turned them into material for training himself, day by day, one journal entry at a time. Or look at Nick Vujicic, born without arms, without legs. And what is worth learning from Nick is not that he did not suffer. Of course he suffered. There was a time when he wanted to end his own life. What is worth learning is that he found a way to turn the unchangeable part of his life into a mission that touched millions of people. He did not love being born without arms and legs. He stopped fighting it and started using it. Marcus Aurelius wrote it more simply almost 2,000 years ago. Loss is nothing else than change, but the universal nature delights in change. AMOR FATI is not loving the pain. It is refusing to let pain become proof that your life went wrong, and beginning to use it as material to build yourself. As long as you keep saying, "if only," your energy is still locked inside a version of life that no longer exists. AMOR FATI pulls that energy back into the present. All right, this is my material. What do I build now? You do not need to see the past as beautiful. You only need to stop letting it take the place of the present. And when you can do that, a calm core begins to form inside you. Something no adversity can easily shake anymore. Because what can still break a person who has stopped fighting their own fate? How to begin today. Take a sheet of paper. Write down one thing you are still resisting. The thing that, every time you remember it, your mind still says, "if only." Then write one sentence underneath it. If this is already part of my life, if it can no longer be changed, what can I use it to understand more clearly? What can it train? What can I release? Important note: this exercise does not ask you to see that event as good. It does not ask you to thank it. It does not ask you to forgive immediately. It only asks you to stop wrestling with it long enough to see whether anything can be taken from it. Sometimes the answer is nothing yet. And that is okay too. This exercise trains only one habit: looking at the past as material instead of proof that your life went wrong. But even when you have stopped fighting the past, there is still another thing quietly pulling you away from peace every day. The expectations you attach to other people, to outcomes, to the way life is supposed to unfold according to your will. That is the next principle. Principle 4, the discipline of desire. Want in the right place, and do not tie your peace to the wrong end of the rope. Be honest for 1 second. Most of your anger, your anxiety, your disappointment, if you dig all the way down, does not come only from what happened. It comes from what you wanted to happen, and the fact that it did not happen that way. You wanted that person to understand you. They did not. You wanted the meeting to go in direction A. It turned toward B. You wanted your partner, your parents, your manager to behave this way. They behaved that way. You wanted life to recognize your effort. It stayed silent. And this is where Stoicism is often misunderstood. Stoicism does not tell you to stop wanting. It does not teach you to become an emotionless tree. It teaches something much more refined. Want in the right place. The old self ties its peace to other people's reactions, to praise, to results, to recognition. The new self still desires, still strives, still steps into the game, but anchors peace in its own character. Here is the mechanism most people do not see. Disappointment is not born from reality. It is born from the gap between the reality that happened and the expectation in your mind. Maybe the other person is not making you suffer as much as you think. What is making you suffer is the invisible contract you signed in your own mind. If they behave the way I want, then I can be at peace. Two people received the same short, cold message. The person who did not sign an invisible contract reads it and moves on. The person carrying the expectation, "I must be valued," burns the whole evening inside their head. The same event, two different emotional destinies, and the difference lies in the size of the expectation, not the size of the event. The more expectations you attach to things outside your control, the more triggers you scatter throughout your life. And the painful part is that many of those mines were not planted by life. They were buried in advance by your own quiet expectations. Stoicism does not tell you to throw away all desire. It classifies desire. There is desire within your control. I want to give my full effort. I want to behave with kindness. I want to not give up. I want to keep my character no matter what happens. And there is desire outside your control. I want to be loved. I want to be recognized. I want everything to go my way. I want that person to change. The second kind is a machine that keeps printing disappointment. Because the outcome is not fully in your hands. It lies in other people, circumstances, luck, and 1,000 things you do not control. And yet you place your peace as a bet in that exact place. Barcelona Olympics, 1992. Derek Redmond was running the 400-meter semifinal, carrying a dream of a medal he had paid for with his entire youth. But halfway through the race, his hamstring tore. He collapsed. His Olympic dream disappeared in a single second. No one would have blamed him if he had stopped. But Derek stood up. He limped forward. His father ran past security, held his son, and helped him finish the final stretch. He came in last, but the whole world remembered that moment. He lost what was outside his control, the medal. He kept what was within his control, dignity. And in ordinary life, we all have small races like that. A failed interview, a confession of love that is not returned, a plan that falls apart, a relationship that ends even though you gave everything you had. In those moments, the question is not, did I win? The question is, did I still keep the person I want to become? Stoicism makes a clear distinction. On one side are external rewards, praise, results, victory, recognition. If they come, good. If they do not, they are still not allowed to destroy you. On the other side is the real good, the character you train, the way you respond, the person you are becoming. That is what truly belongs to you. No one can take it away. Tonight, before you sleep, write down one goal you are obsessing over. Divide it into 2 columns. The outside my control column, the final result, the other person's reaction, the answer you are waiting for. Write underneath it, I would prefer this to happen, but I do not hand my peace over to it. The within my control column, your preparation, your kindness, your persistence, the character you will bring into it. Write underneath it, tomorrow I will do one thing that proves the person I want to become. You still love, you still try, you still step into the game with everything you have. But this time you do not tie your neck to the outcome. You only bring your character into it and walk out, win or lose, still fully yourself. Principle 5. Memento Mori. Remember that you will die. I know this sentence feels heavy, but stay with me for a few minutes. because this may be the most sobering medicine in this entire video. Try to answer honestly. You do not have to say it out loud, only inside your own mind. Have you ever truly, honestly looked straight at the fact that you will die? Not in the casual way of saying, yes, everyone dies, but to feel it. To feel that this body, this name, this life, one day will end. Maybe 60 years from now. Or maybe tonight. Most of us live our entire lives without ever stopping long enough to feel that truth in our bones. That is why we burn an entire evening on an argument that will mean nothing a week from now. That is why we postpone calling our mother from 1 month to the next. That is why we live as if we have 1,000 years to fix things. When in reality, we may only have one afternoon left. What is frightening is not death. What is frightening is living a very long time and never choosing what matters. The Romans had a strange ritual. Whenever a general won a battle and was paraded through the streets of Rome, thousands cheering, glory at its peak. There was always a servant standing right behind him, all along the route, whispering one sentence into his ear. Memento mori, remember that you will die, right in the highest moment of human glory. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful emperor in the world at that time, wrote in his private journal, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He did not write that for anyone else. He wrote it for himself every morning, so power and fame would not swallow him whole. Here is the question for you. If today someone stood behind you all day, whispering memento mori every time you are about to explode in anger, about to feel sorry for yourself, about to waste an hour on something that does not matter, how many times would you have to hear that sentence today? Memento mori does not drag you down to the ground. It pulls you out of illusion. For 33 years, Steve Jobs looked in the mirror every morning and asked himself one question. If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And he said, if the answer was no for too many days in a row, then he knew he needed to change something. In his 2005 Stanford commencement speech, 1 year after he had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, he said directly, remembering that he would die was the most important tool he had ever encountered for making the big choices in life. Because in the face of death, almost everything, pride, fear, embarrassment, worrying about this and worrying about that, falls away. Only what truly matters remains. And this is where I want to anchor the point. Because the Steve Jobs story sounds very modern, and it can easily slide into self-help. But if you look closely, what Marcus Aurelius and Steve Jobs had in common was not an obsession with death. It was that they used death as a scale, placing each choice on it to see what still had weight and what was only noise. That is memento mori as practice. Not a dark thought, but a tool for weighing your life every day. Death does not take meaning away from life. It forces false meaning to fall away. This is what memento mori truly does. It does not make you pessimistic. It makes you awake. In the face of death, the argument where you need to win against a coworker suddenly shrinks to its true size. Worrying about what people think of you shrinks. The excuse you keep using to avoid starting what you truly want shrinks. The list of urgent tasks that takes over your whole day shrinks. And the things that truly matter, family, health, the work you love, the person you love, expand back to their true size. That is how this philosophy heals you. It rearranges the weight of your entire life, simply by reminding you of the truth you have known for a long time, but keep trying to forget. And because memento mori only has value when you use it, I want to leave you with 2 layers of practice. One you can do right now, today, and one to sit with when you have time. Layer 1. A small action, done in 60 seconds. Take out your phone or a piece of paper and write down 1 sentence. If this were the final year of my life, what would I stop wasting time on? Answer honestly. Just 1 thing is enough. Then today, cut away a little of it. You do not have to cut it all out yet. Just the first cut, to prove to yourself that the question carries real weight. Layer 2. A deeper exercise. For a quiet evening. Open a blank page. Write a letter to yourself. From yourself. At 80 years old. Lying in bed. Looking back on the life you have lived. What does that 80-year-old want to say to you today? What are you spending time on now that this older version of you regrets? What are you avoiding that this older version desperately wants you to step toward? Who are you still holding anger toward that this older version wants you to release? What are you postponing that this older version wishes you would begin? Today. Write honestly. Not beautifully. Not perfectly. It may take 20 minutes, or it may take an entire evening or many weeks to complete. But when you finish writing and read it back, you will know what to do with the next day of your life. Do not wait until the end of life to ask whether you lived rightly. Principle 6. Rehearsing difficulty. Premeditatio malorum. Have you ever promised yourself, today I will stay calm? And then 1 sharp sentence from your boss, 1 cold message, 1 look of contempt, and you explode before you even realize it? That night, you blame yourself again. Why couldn't I control myself? The next morning, you promise again. Then the same pattern repeats. If that has happened to you, you are not weak. You are simply walking into the new day in a passive state, where anyone can press the button of anger inside you. The Romans had a way to escape that loop. They called it premeditatio malorum, rehearsing difficulty. Before stepping into the day, you predict who or what might make you lose your calm. Then rehearse your response in advance. Because sometimes, the thing that triggers anger is not the event itself, but the surprise. And I know you may be thinking, if I keep thinking about bad things ahead of time, isn't that just pessimism? That makes sense. But think of a vaccine. A vaccine is a very small dose of a virus, introduced into the body on purpose, under controlled conditions. Not to make you sick, but to let the body practice responding beforehand. When the real virus arrives, the immune system already knows what to do. Premeditatio malorum is the vaccine for the mind. Every morning, when your mind is at its clearest, you introduce a small dose of the worst-case scenario. On purpose. Imagine your boss snapping at you. Imagine the meeting not going your way. Imagine that person saying the exact sentence you fear most. Then ask, if this happens, how will I respond without losing myself? Pessimism is different. Pessimism does not prepare, does not act, and simply sits there letting fear chew on it all day. Both think about what could go wrong, but they are two completely different people. The old self lets fear control it. The new self uses fear as a map. Here is the real mechanism. Anger, panic, collapse often do not come from the event itself. They come from being ambushed by the event. An insult, if you have seen it coming, can be shrugged off and walked past. But when it hits you at a moment you did not expect, blood rushes to your face in 1 second, and you say the exact words you regret that night. There are days when what hurts you is not what happened. It is the version of you that appeared when it happened. PREMEDITATIO MALORUM strikes directly at that point. In the morning, before you are backed into a corner, you walk through the worst-case scenario once. You feel it. You outline your response. When it actually happens, it may still hurt you, but it is less likely to throw you completely off course. You still have 1 breath left. And often, 1 breath is enough to preserve the person you want to become. Seneca once said, "The arrow comes slowly when we have seen it from far away." You cannot avoid every arrow, but you can take away part of its force by seeing it before it arrives. There is a reason special forces rehearse worst-case scenarios hundreds of times. Because in chaos, people do not rise to the level of their wishes. They fall to the level of what they have trained. You are the same. In a tense meeting, in a difficult conversation, in the moment someone touches your weakest point, you will not naturally become the calmest version of yourself. You will fall to the level of what you have rehearsed. So every morning, ask 3 questions. 1. What is most likely to make me lose my calm today? 2. If that happens, how exactly will I respond? 3. If I do not prepare, what might I regret tonight? And the 30-second version is this. Before a meeting or a difficult conversation, write 1 sentence. If they say X, I will pause for 1 beat and say Y. You have just programmed the pause before stepping into the arena. A mature person is not someone who never gets provoked. A mature person is someone who does not make themselves easy to provoke. The old self lets anyone press the button of anger inside them. The new self knows where that button is and has already decided. From today, whoever presses it will only find a pause. Comment 1 situation today or tomorrow that could easily make you lose your calm. Then write the sentence, if they say X, I will pause for 1 beat and say Y. Just by writing it down, you've already moved 1 step ahead of your old self. Principle 7. Logos. Take the ego off the throne. Have you ever lost an entire evening over 1 sentence? You know it was small. You know it was not worth it. But it still hurt. And you still wanted to answer back. Because in that moment, what was touched was not your reason. It was your ego. And here's the truth few people dare to say directly. Many times, you are not angry because the sentence was so heavy. You are angry because if you stay silent, you are afraid they will think you are weak. The feeling of being looked down on. The feeling of not being recognized. The feeling that you have to prove yourself. The feeling that not responding means you have lost. That is the real wound. The sentence is only the needle. Your ego is the balloon. We often think, if we want to be less hurt, we must make the ego harder. Stoicism goes in the opposite direction, not making the ego harder, but letting the ego become smaller before something larger. The Stoics called that larger thing logos, the rational order of nature, of community, of duty. To live according to logos means to stop placing the ego at the center and to place your life inside a wider order. Your family, your team, the mission you are serving. The mechanism is this. When the ego sits in the middle, every word, every look, every message hits it directly, and every scratch hurts you. But when you live for something larger than the ego, it no longer sits at the center. It becomes only a tool serving something greater. A coworker's sarcastic comment, compared to the future you are building for your children. What is it? The judgmental look of a stranger online, compared to the mission you are serving. What does it really mean? The ego loses the center, and attacks against the ego lose their force. You do not have to force yourself to not care. You naturally stop caring because you are busy with something much larger. Look clearly at the inner battle. The old self. His one sarcastic sentence feels the blood rush to the face and needs to answer immediately to prove it is not weak. The new self remembers it is doing this for its child, for its family, for what it serves, and chooses deliberate silence. The old self needs to win one sentence. The new self needs to not betray what it is living for. There are moments when you are not really choosing between speaking and staying silent. You are choosing between feeding the ego or protecting what is larger than the ego. Look at Okinawa, Japan. One of the places where people live the longest on Earth. A place where there is no word for retirement. Instead, they have ikigai, a reason to wake up every morning. And their ikigai is almost never only themselves. It is always something outside the ego. A grandchild, a field, the sea, the village. A 90-year-old fisherman still goes out to sea every morning, not to prove he is still strong, but because the village needs the fish he brings back. A 95-year-old woman still sits and weaves fabric, not to show off her skill, but because her grandchild is getting married and needs a traditional cloth. Of course, Okinawan longevity comes from many factors. Diet, movement, community, environment. But ikigai, the reason to wake up every morning, is a very important piece of the puzzle. Because when a person has a reason to wake up every morning, they no longer have the time to drown in one judgment. Not because they do not feel pain, but because they have something larger to return to. Right now, or tonight, before you sleep. Sit down with a piece of paper and answer one question. For whom am I keeping calm? For what larger purpose than myself? Write down a specific name, a specific face. Then turn it into one sentence and place it somewhere you can see easily. The next time heat rises in your blood, that sentence will pull you back. And that rooted steadiness will radiate a kind of authority others can feel before you even say a word. Principle 8. Live it out. Morning ritual and evening review. And this is where most people who read Stoicism fall behind. They close the book, nod and think, that was powerful. Post a few quotes on Instagram. Then the next week, they go back to reacting exactly the way they have reacted their entire life. Why? Because philosophy does not automatically turn you into someone new. Understanding one principle and living it every day are two things separated by an entire canyon. The 7 principles you have just heard, if they only stay in your head, will disappear the moment life touches your weak point. A tense meeting, a rude message, a sentence that sends heat into your blood. In that moment, what controls you is not what you just learned. It is the old reflex. If you want to replace the old reflex with a new one, there's only one way. Repetition. Every day. On purpose. Long enough for the brain to overwrite the old habit. You do not become stoic when you understand a quote. You become stoic when the new reflex appears in the exact moment where the old reflex used to rule you. And here is the truth few people are willing to face. If you do not set the intention for your day, someone else will set it for you. If you are not holding the wheel, you are not standing still. You are being pulled. And by night, when you look back, you realize that was not a day you lived. That was a day someone else lived through you. And repeated behavior needs a structure to hold on to. Otherwise, even the best intention dissolves into the chaos of the day. That is why the Stoics built 2 anchors, a morning ritual to set intention, and an evening review to look back. Morning builds it. Evening checks it. The 2 ends of the day hold your life in place. And each loop adds another layer to the person you are becoming. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful emperor in the world at that time, a man who had to deal with war, plague, and political plots inside his own court, still took a few minutes each morning to write. And do you know what he wrote? Not political strategy. He reminded himself, today you will meet people who are ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, jealous, and cowardly. But you will still keep yourself. Every morning. For his entire life. That emperor understood one thing. If he did not set his intention before stepping into the day would set it for him. Seneca did the opposite at the other end of the day. Every night, before sleeping, he sat down and asked himself 3 simple questions. What did I do well today? What did I do poorly? What opportunity for kindness did I miss? No judgment. No self-punishment. Only reflection. Because he knew. A day that is not reviewed is a day that passes without teaching you anything. And a life made of days that teach you nothing is a life you live by reflex until you die. The 2 ends of the day. Set intention, then review. This is the minimal structure that gives philosophy a place to hold on, so it does not simply fly away. You may hear this and think, I am too busy. Where am I supposed to find time to meditate every morning and night? I hear you. This is not a 1-hour ritual. This is 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes at night, 4 minutes total. Less time than one scroll through TikTok. In the morning, before you open your phone, before your mind gets pulled into messages and emails, take 3 deep breaths. Then set one intention for the day. Make it specific, not vague. Not, today, I will be kind. But, today, if my boss cuts me off again in the 3 p.m. meeting, I will pause for 1 beat before I respond. The more specific it is, the more pull it has when the situation arrives. At night, before turning off the lights, ask one question only. When did I keep the pause today? When did I lose it? Do not punish yourself. Do not overpraise yourself. Just look. Like a coach watching the game tape of your own life. Calmly. Objectively. So you can play better tomorrow. 4 minutes a day. It sounds too simple to work, doesn't it? But this is exactly where most people misunderstand the process. The power is not in the length of each session. It is in the number of times. 1 brick is nothing. 4 minutes of ritual in 1 day is nothing. But multiply that by 365 days, and you have trained for 1,460 minutes. Almost 25 hours of intentional setting and reviewing, while 99% of the people around you have not spent even 1 minute doing it. After enough time, you will begin to notice. You no longer have to force calmness as much as before. The pause appears earlier. The old reflex grows weaker, and a new version of you begins to become real. The pause between stimulus and response is no longer something you have to stretch out with willpower. It is naturally there, like breathing. That is when philosophy has entered your bones. That is when you are no longer reading Stoicism. You are becoming Stoic. Principle 9. The inner citadel. Have you ever lost an entire day because of one sentence someone said? One criticism. One look of contempt. One cold message. And suddenly, your mood for the whole day is being driven by someone else. The most painful thing is not what they said. The most painful thing is realizing this. One sentence from them is enough to make you stop being yourself. That is when the gate of your inner citadel is open. And this is what many people misunderstand from the beginning. The inner citadel does not turn you into someone cold. It does not turn you into an island covered in thorns against the whole world. It turns you into someone safe enough inside, so you can step back out, love, engage, commit, collide with life, and not be swallowed by it. And this is what makes this principle different from every principle before it. Everything you have just heard. The dichotomy of control, the discipline of desire, rehearsing difficulty, living for something larger. All of them are individual bricks used to build this very citadel. Look back honestly. If you dig all the way down, the problem is not really that sentence or that look. The problem is that you are letting the outside world write the story of who you are. The most dangerous thing is not that they insulted you. The most dangerous thing is that you immediately believed the way they defined you. In the moment your wound is touched, 2 people appear inside you at once. One wants to open the gate, rush out and respond, prove that you are not weak. The other only needs 1 breath to ask, do I really want to hand the key to this citadel to one sentence? the citadel is built or broken. In that exact moment, the old self thinks strength means reacting fast. The new self understands. Strength is keeping the right to choose your response, even when the oldest wound has been touched. Imagine it this way. Every day, hundreds of arrows fly toward you. A cruel comment, a look of contempt, a sudden piece of bad news. You cannot stop them from flying toward you. That is the outer circle, outside your control. But between that arrow and your heart, there is always a space. And in that space, you have the right to build a wall. That wall is the inner citadel. This citadel is not a poetic metaphor. It is a very specific psychological mechanism. The ability to keep the right to interpret everything that happens to you. A person without a citadel lives like a city without walls. Anyone passing by can walk in, break things, and leave. A person with a citadel is different. The arrows still fly, but the inner core remains intact. No one enters the citadel unless you hand them the key. You do not choose which arrows fly toward you, but you do choose whether the gate opens. Marcus Aurelius wrote this directly almost 2,000 years ago. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. An emperor ruling the entire Roman Empire, a man who should have been able to command everything, still had to remind himself every morning that the only thing he truly governed was his own mind. And if you think the citadel is only for emperors, look at people whose lives have broken almost everything they had. Health, reputation, plans, even the old version of themselves. The inner citadel is the ability to rebuild a place to stand firm, even when the outside world is no longer the same. The citadel does not make you cold. It makes you brave. But a citadel is not built in one day. It is built one brick at a time. And every time you choose the pause instead of reaction, discipline instead of comfort, you have placed another brick. One brick is nothing. 10,000 bricks become a wall that is hard to break. As your citadel grows higher and stronger, you will discover something. The things that used to knock you down begin to lose their force. Criticism still reaches your ears, but it has a harder time piercing the place where it used to hurt you. A failure still crashes into your life. You still feel it fully, but it can no longer define who you are. You are still alive, still loving, still angry, still hurting. Calmness gradually becomes a more natural part of who you are, not something you have to grit your teeth to hold on to. Calmness is not the absence of storms. Calmness is having a place inside where the storm cannot reach. Tonight, before you sleep. Not tomorrow. Not next week. But tonight. Take a piece of paper or open the Notes app on your phone and write exactly 3 lines. 1. Which arrow pierces my citadel most easily? 1 sentence from whom? 1 kind of look? 1 type of message? 1 specific situation at work or in my family? 2. When that arrow arrives, what reaction do I usually use to open the gate? Responding immediately? Bitter silence? Replaying it in my head all night? Shutting the door on other people? 3. Tomorrow, 1 brick I will place is this. One brick I will place is this. Pause for 3 seconds. Take one breath. Then speak more slowly, more briefly, and not from the wound. You do not need 10 bricks, only one. But place it for real. Because the citadel is not built on the days when you understand the principle. It is built in the exact moments when you choose not to hand over the key. We have walked through 9 principles together. Now, remember the question I asked at the beginning of this video. If a man in the middle of Auschwitz could still find inner freedom, then what is holding you back? The answer: not circumstance. It is the pause you have not trained yet. And today, you have already begun. Every pause you choose from now on will add strength to a kind of calm authority. Quiet, steady, and impossible for anyone to take away.